Hello there, Aries, and welcome to your monthly forecast. I hope that your October is getting off to a fantastic start, and together we're going to look at everything that is coming through energetically. If you're brand new to the channel, I want to extend a warm welcome and just remind you that you can use this reading for your sun, your rising, and your moon if you happen to know those. Otherwise, just focus on your sun sign and that's okay. The format that I lay out each month is as follows. I'll start off with channeled information, work my way into something that I call a catalyst card, and that's kind of the glue that ties together the month, and it also sets the theme for the month. I would also say that this one is going to help us look at the next quarter of the year. We're already at the end, it's hard to believe, but we'll pay special attention to the catalyst this month and see what it has to say. After we look at that, I pull a full Celtic cross, which will show me the highs and lows for this month, and then we end it with health, wealth, love, and destiny, the expanded part of the forecast. Let's begin with the channeled information, or the pure psychic information that came through. As I selected a deck and meditated on your sign, a couple of things started to come through. The first was that there was a delicate balance, and I almost wrote that word down at first, but I realized there was a little bit more to it than that. And as I tuned in to find out what was tenuous or what was delicate, I realized that it was about the etheric cords, or the ties that bind us. It's an old quote. And really what's going to happen with these etheric bonds, or these spiritual connections that we have with one another. This is a month where they're either going to strengthen or weaken. The choice is yours. When you're focusing on people in your life that you care a lot about, there's going to be a couple of examples where you either want to grow much closer to someone, or you feel that they're falling away from you. This happens naturally as you energetically climb up or down the ladder. People tend to either meet you at your energetic level, or they'll fall away and you continue to kind of climb. And that's what happens a lot of times. We don't know what to call it in Western society when people just kind of lose touch or fall away. It's because you don't feel that strong connection. So you have a choice this month to either stay true to what's important to you, maybe continue to climb the ladder, or maybe you need to deal with some karma or some situations with people around you. It's about where you're at in your journey, and if you need to plateau a little bit and spend time, or if you need to kind of go higher. So you'll decide what's best for you, pay special attention to it, and decide also as you spend time with these people, is it being reciprocated? Are you feeling or getting something back from the exchange? All right, let's now take a look at the catalyst card for this month. And this is really what's going to help us understand the overall energy and opportunity that comes through this month. Like I said earlier, it's also a connective thread for everything. And so we have this beautiful cottonwood tree here. And as I'm looking at this, the key word that comes to mind, because this is really much more of a sapling than anything, is flexibility. And you're going to want to remain as open, as malleable, as kind of, for some of you, even impressionable as possible. You want to keep a clear idea of what's important to you, and you don't want to just be sort of like a blank slate for people to write on. But there are times in our life, particularly when we want to absorb things, like when we're a student, or we're trying to take in a new language, or at a new job and really want to learn all that there is to kind of come in, that we need to be a little bit more open than usual. That's the message this month. It's not to lose your values or your moral core or any of that. It's that for a little bit, just take everything in and leave judgment on the back burner. And that would be a great way if we all could sort of do that permanently and really just observe and then feed in our own intuition and our own filters, but at first just allow for the information to flow. This is really important for those of you that have decided to go back to school, or that maybe you're in a challenging relationship and you're trying to see if it's going to weather the storm. And that's really what this card is indicating: flexibility, and the idea that there's a lot of growth to do. You notice this tree is young, so decide what you need to do to grow, to improve the situation, and what the other person has to do. And as long as you both are growing, then trees that kind of withstand the wind, they grow stronger. So it's about being flexible, not brittle, not breaking. That goes back to the ties that bind us, and also that idea of this fragile nature. We don't have to be, we can be more flexible, and that's really what the catalyst is saying this month. All right, let's take a look now and see what the cards have to say as far as opportunities, overall energy, etc. So as I was pulling the card, I also got a quick download to, I want you to try to avoid going to extremes. And when I was looking at the Five of Pentacles, that's what was coming through in particular. And the Five of Pentacles card is one where you're trying to achieve more balance in your money, also your relationships with parents and children, and it can also even, for some of you, indicate a feeling of being abandoned or not appreciated. And so when these feelings come through, which they all happen, it's a natural sort of course of some relationships, you want to try not to go too far, to internalize too much. I had a great teacher who recently reminded me it's about kind of breathing in and letting the good and the bad come through and not holding on to the bad. Let's also hold on to the good. And the Five of Pentacles is a card where we have to start attracting wealth and good opportunities with us. But I'll get more into that in a second. Your center card is the Ten of Wands. It's reversed. And this is a card for some of you when you have a difficult time moving on or letting go of something. In the upright position, you'll notice a person that's stepping towards opportunity and stepping away from a long journey. The reversal of this is showing for some of you either a delay or a resisting, an internal sort of resistance, I should say, to wanting to move forward. So if there's a roadblock, it's completely understandable. You might be impatient. If you're kind of just used to doing something in your life and you're afraid of letting it go, this card reversed is simply saying it's time, and it's acknowledging some of the feeling of frustration maybe in trying to make this manifest. On top of this, which helps understand why there's a delay, we have the Nine of Pentacles. With the Nine of Pentacles, the main message that I'm receiving for you is that really what you want to focus on is self-sufficiency. You don't want to be dependent on someone else. And typically this card shows a single, solitary person surrounded by wealth or opportunity, and they have more than enough for themselves. The wealth is indicated by like money growing on bushes or trees, and they have, it's almost an extravagant card. So when for those of you that might be setting up a business or deciding to buy a house or really trying to look at your long-term savings, you might be waiting to make a significant change, move, or alteration to your life until you reach a certain pinnacle of savings or money. This card is showing more than enough. So if you want to get to that point, that's fine, but you might be even a little bit too conservative with this. You may be able to do this earlier, and it could be holding you back a little bit. So take a look and decide, am I being too conservative, or am I ready? Am I just afraid to move on? There is that delicate balance between sort of being very prepared and then taking too long. So that's something that you're going to have to kind of internally decipher for yourself this month. If none of that really kind of resonates, the other thing this is about for some of you is your kind of like domestic balance that I'm seeing here. So if you're taking care of an older parent or children in your life, or you're trying to figure out what to do just even for yourself to make sure that you have enough, look at your living situation. The Ten of Wands has to do also with possibly looking for a new home and moving. And so there might be an opportunity to either save money or to sell something, a property that you have. And the same thing goes in to that sort of message, which is you kind of take a look at the real estate market, talk to an agent, and then decide when that happy medium is, knowing that you might miss a window if you wait too long. So be prudent, but don't procrastinate. That's the message. As we look at the other cards this month, we have Queen of Cups in reverse. This is the energy leading into the month, showing that for many of you, there could be some challenges when it comes to your emotions or overall sort of mental state right now. So take time to try to be gentle with yourself. And if you're having a difficult time either dealing with other people or just feeling like you have a lot of frustration, look for areas in your life where you could let off a little bit of creative steam, or maybe you just need to vent. And it would be better not to do this to people that care about you but that don't understand why you're getting upset. Make sure you set the stage and say something like, I've had a really tough day and I just need a listening ear. I'm not looking for advice. And then you can just kind of like let it out and then maybe move on to something else. It is important to acknowledge energy, and a lot of times people that are on a spiritual path try to bury that energy. And although you don't want to exist too long at a lower frequency, you do have to move through them. So if you have to either talk to a psychologist, talk to a best friend, or just kind of get out and dance, or do something that allows for you to get the energy out, do that. I think that's really what's showing up in the cards here. And there's also a little bit of fear as I'm looking at the Eight of Swords here. And the Eight of Swords is about wondering, I'm really seeing this as money and support, wondering, will I have enough? And the more you kind of exist in that lower or doubtful frequency, the more it kind of attracts that existence or that future. So I want you to let go of the fear that things won't work out. Do the preparation, do the homework, and then at a certain point know that it's time to let it go. Seven of Swords in your crowning position is about walking away from situations that no longer suit you. This, for some of you, might be a long-term relationship where you've done everything you can to try to work things out with your partner, but it just isn't gelling for either of you. So maybe it's time to walk away. It can also be a work situation, a friendship, or even just a habit in your life that at one point in your life it made sense, but you're starting to realize now that you may not have so much of an attachment to that way of living or that way of being. The other thing is for conflict resolution, or if you're trying to stick out a difficult time and make it through this is also about picking and choosing battles. Sometimes choosing to walk away from a situation instead of escalating it, this happens, the easiest example of this is if someone sends a heated email and you know better than to reply, then this is saying just delete it or file it away or just move on. So there's parts of your life where you could just kind of let things go and allow for other things to come in rather than attaching to it and deciding like, but I gotta prove my point. If you know in your heart that it's true, that's enough. I do want you to focus overall on money. There's a lot of money cards that came through. We have 9 of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles, and 2 of Pentacles. Very contrasting cards. So for some of you, you might be needing to dig into savings, and it puts you in a place where you feel like you're overextended. Then don't do it. Or for some of you, this can, like I said, it can have to do with self-worth or a feeling of not being valued by other people. Either way, I want you to work out what's necessary for you to feel happy, what's important and what you value in your life. And if other people or situations don't align with that, that's going to be your compass to decide yes or no. There actually is a lot of good energy around those of you that are in school or looking for a promotion at work. The 3 of Pentacles is a card of recognition. Even for those of you that are retired, this is showing good opportunities on the horizon. Maybe you get a chance to sell something, or people just want to give you some sort of an award. The 3 of Pentacles is usually about something that's overdue, something that's well worth the wait, and something that you feel very worthy of receiving. It can also be, again, about graduation or moving on or moving up. So really this is a great place to be in the ego position for this month, showing that you're really positioned well for negotiations, for promotions, or for opportunities to come in. As we look at your environment card this month, we have the Page of Swords in reverse, which is speaking to possibly some criticism or negative feedback that could come your way. And as I've been sort of alluding to throughout this reading, stay flexible, stay open to it. You don't have to necessarily react immediately to it. And what you want to try to avoid is meeting negativity with negativity. What you could do is say something as very open as, thank you, I'll take that under consideration. You don't have to agree or disagree, you just have to acknowledge the receipt of it, which is usually all anyone really wants when they give you criticism. And internally that's hard for us sometimes, but that feels like that's the best way to move forward. And then after a day or two, you can decide if you want to act on it. As I look at hopes, fears, also desired action, there's a need for balance. There's also a fear of making ends meet, or will you have enough of time, energy, or resources, since Pentacles really rule all of those. So pay attention to it, sort out the fear from the reality, and do pay attention to making sure that you're not giving too much to one area of your life. This can just be about work-life balance for you as well. So if you're overdue for a vacation, it's really important to take care of your body, your mind, and even companies sometimes prefer you to take those vacation days rather than to keep that money on the books. So do something that's good for everyone and take care of yourself. Plan a vacation if you want to. As we look at the final card, the outcome card for this month, we have the Seven of Wands, which I like. The Seven of Wands is a card that shows that you're sort of a very adept multitasker. You're going to be able to handle everything that's coming your way this month. There's a gentle caution with the Seven of Wands that usually is saying don't be too defensive and don't try to take on too much. Know when you need to raise your hand and say, help me prioritize, or give me a hand, or whatever it is, whether it's work, whether it's love, whether it's just setting up boundaries. This card is saying two things. You're very skilled, but you could tip the scales if you're not careful. What I like about the illustration in this particular card is you see this woman is being very careful and thoughtful about how she spends her energy, spends her thoughts, spends her time, and that's the advice for this month, is to basically embody what you see here, which is careful. Be careful, be thoughtful, and take on only what you can handle. All right, let's now expand the forecast, and we'll start with the health card, which will really look at mind, body, and spirit. So we'll give it a good shuffle and see what the message is for health this month. And what we received was Isis. Isis is telling you basically to tune into your own intuition. This is a card of divine feminine manifestation and intuition, and we'll break it down into mind, body, and spirit. So for the mind, a great month to delve into any sort of spiritual, esoteric, religious, or even just general meditation that you want to embark on. It's going to be very well supported by the universe, and I feel like you can go much deeper than you would on a normal month. So feel free to learn something new, to practice with crystals, or to, again, just work in a prayer circle. Whatever it is that you do to connect to the universe and to your divine energy, this month is about that. As far as your body goes, this is telling you to pay attention to those little aches and pains, or that voice in your head that says, I really should schedule an appointment with this doctor to take care of this. Don't put things off. A lot of times we get a very early precursor or warning that can really extend our health and our happiness if we act on it. So rather than being afraid, be grateful that you've got this advanced warning and do something about it. And that's what Isis is saying. And for spirit, it's more of the same. This is a card of rebirth, of reincarnation, of being able to come through a bad situation and grow from it. And that's what you can do with this. In mythology, Isis was able to resurrect someone that she loved using her own powers and her own faith and her own love. So you really want to connect with the idea that the impossible is possible, and even through a situation in your life as difficult as death, or if you experience great destruction, and a lot of parts of the world right now we've seen a lot of natural disasters. Isis is a card of rebirth, regrowth, and coming through a difficult situation. So for those of you that are going through a difficult time, know that there's a lot of people that care about you, and that this card is saying you can make it through. All right, let's now expand this to look at your wealth and opportunity card. And wealth and opportunity is really going to not just extend to money, but it's also going to show things that can happen in school, also what you might be experiencing in some of your relationships, etc. And so we have, interesting that I mentioned relationships, love, because what we're seeing here is a love card in career, and that means that there's overlap. Let me turn this card upright. We'll talk a little bit about it. What this card is really kind of getting at is that you want to be logical, careful, measured about how you approach certain types of relationships. So this could be, for some of you that are dating someone in the same office, you want to be sure that there's no conflict of interest. For some of you that might have a friend that you've known and you're trying to bring them in and hire them, could also create a little bit of tension. It's usually about someone that you care deeply about, passionately about, but could be in a situation where that passion is kind of clouding your judgment or creating a conflict. So whether you're in school and it's a teacher or another student, or you're in a workplace and it's a best friend or someone that you love, there's some sort of a relationship that is challenging the boundaries of some structure in your life, and you're going to have to either redefine the relationship so that you can successfully continue your endeavor with work or with school or with your career, or you're going to have to, maybe some of you choose the relationship over that. And so a difficult situation could be coming in for some of you. The other thing that happens when I see a love card or a passion card like this reversed is, are you feeling the same sense of dedication, of passion, of energy that you used to have with your career, with your school, with whatever it is that you're pursuing in your life? And if you're not, this card is saying, how can you get back to that sort of passion that you initially felt? What was driving you to originally get onto this path? If you can rekindle it, great. If not, it might be a gentle reminder that it's time to look for something else that brings you love, joy, and passion in your life. So whether it's a relationship that could be tested, or that the boundaries of the relationship could impede you, be mindful of that. The other part of this is make sure that you're doing something that you love. If you're not, find a way to get back to what originally excited you about this job or this opportunity, or find something new that does. Okay, let's take a look now at love and see what is coming through regarding relationships this month. Your love card for this month, even though we saw a little bit of that in our work area, is look to your inner strength. You're stronger than you realize. Card is reversed, reminding you again not to underestimate your own ability to make it on your own if you need to, or to stand up for yourself in a situation. And because we did see some overlap between career and love, this could be about standing up for what's right. And also you might be an observer of some sort of behavior that isn't what should be happening. And if that's the case, then this is encouraging you to speak the truth if you need to. The other thing here, looking into your inner strength, this is about the law of attraction as well, and seeing great self-worth, which is a mirror image of what we're seeing here, which is the inverse, wondering if you're enough, wondering why the world isn't giving you what you deserve. So this is a card that is basically your mantra to the universe saying, I'm ready to receive, I know that I've done the work, I'm not only ready to receive, but I'm also deserving of what is coming to me. So please send more love, more opportunity, more abundance. And you notice that she is sort of dreaming, but in a playful way. So I want you to see what you want, feel like you're worth it, and then let go of it a little bit. And that's going to be your key to bringing in new love relationships. Let's now expand the forecast to look at destiny. Always one of my favorite cards, because this is something that you can control. The whole purpose we meet every month is so that you can see where you're headed, and if you like it, you stay with it, and if you don't, you alter it. So your destiny card this month is, it's a sacred card, but there's two pieces to it. So this card says smoke, and the subtext underneath is prayers. And what I really want you to focus on is seeing through illusion this month. It's a very good time for you to focus on meditation. The more you meditate, the more you're going to get clear and see past maybe other people's smoke screens or illusions. The other part of this is it's a sacred ritual. So for some of you, you might want to spend some time, clear your house, use sage and smudge it. It can also be about going back to some other sort of prayer or ritual meditation that means something to you. But the more energy you put into this, much like this Isis card that we saw earlier, the more you're going to receive. So this is a great, great time for you to tap into your intuition a little bit deeper. Now let's quickly review everything that we covered for this month. Your channeled information was basically reminding you that there's going to be some tests in the relationship strength. They're either going to get stronger or weaker, and this is between friends, lovers, teachers, mentors, across the board. There's going to be opportunities to allow new people to step in and to allow some of these to fall away. And we talked earlier about stepping up the energetic scale and how a lot of times that's a natural occurrence. Your channeled information was about being flexible, about weathering a storm in some situations and being stronger because of it. But also knowing that you're still strongly rooted in what's important to you. It's just about kind of like taking it in, understanding and learning, and realizing that there's a lot of nurturing and growth that you can do for yourself as well this month. As we take a look at the cards in the Celtic cross, the center is showing a need or a desire to move forward, but it's crossed by a card that is about conservative situations surrounding money. So you'll be able to best decode that, but I have a gentle sort of nudge for some of you that there comes a point where you want to be right on that line of being just prudent and cautious enough, but not kind of procrastinating. There's some emotional baggage that's coming through from last month, and you want to acknowledge and move through that, but not exist too long within it. Basically, the first 6 or 7 days of the month will be challenging. By the second week, you should be past that. A reminder to pick and choose arguments that you really want to engage in. Step away from the ones you don't. It's not worth the time and energy. Work instead on self-worth. That's really what this Five of Pentacles card is about. It can also just suggest strengthening relationships with parents or children in your life, and also paying close attention to extremities. Making sure that if you're feeling, for those of you that might be diabetic, if there's any issues with your feet, that you're getting those taken care of. Also for those of you that have rheumatoid arthritis, making sure that you see a doctor if need be. It's usually about those sort of things in our feet and our hands that we need to take care of. And also if there's any sort of water that is accumulating around your ankles, stuff like that, be proactive about that. We saw that in the health card this month. Three of Pentacles, great month for you overall when it comes to success and acknowledgement and getting ahead. Really try hard this month not to engage in negative speech, to take criticism with a bag of salt if you need to, and just say thank you for the feedback and step away. Keep things balanced when it comes to all your resources, remembering that time, money, and energy are all types of resources. And that extends to your outcome card, which is showing that you want to pick and choose what you really want to invest your time into this month. As we expand your forecast, your health card was really about your mind and spirit more this month, saying that any energy you put into meditation will be really well received, but also it goes along with what I was saying about aches, pains, and existing conditions. Get those things taken care of. Don't let them sit. As we look at wealth, really look at any sort of passion in your workplace. And if it's a romantic relationship, make sure that the boundaries are not going to create conflict. And if you're watching someone else overstep boundaries, then speak up when and if that's appropriate. When we look at love, it's about this is basically saying to focus on your own self-worth, and to also sort of dream and wish and feel that this is all coming to you. Not to feel a sense of frustration or aggravation, because on the energetic sort of scale, that's in a lower frequency and you don't want to sit there too long. And one way you can work through that is through the act of ritual, prayer, meditation, using things like incense, sage, or any other sort of smudging material to help you clear your energy. It's going to be really important for you. Overall, I'm excited about this month for you. Aside from the sort of relationship tug of war that I see possibly in the workplace or at school, I think you can get through this. So that brings this weekly reading to a close, and I'd like to simply say thank you so much. Thank you for the likes, the subscribes, and the support that you've given me here. I really do appreciate that. I also want to commend all of you for working hard on yourselves. That's the reason we're showing up every week, every month, to expand consciousness, to stay more aware, and to be a little bit more prepared of what's coming around the corner. So if I could help in any small way, that means a lot, and I'm happy to do so. If you'd like to stay in touch, the easiest way to do that is simply to hit subscribe on this channel. There's also a bell icon, and if you click on that, that will send you emails whenever I upload videos. Another way to get emails is to subscribe to my newsletter, and I send out one of those each week and then also one at the beginning of each month. And if you'd like to stay in touch on the social media networks, you can feel free to join me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I would love to have you. And if you need more insight and want to do a one-on-one appointment, I do offer those, and I'll put a link in the description area below so you can check out rates and availability. If you'd also like to give back to this channel, you can do so on my website. I have a donation area, and that would be much appreciated. Finally, I just want to wish you much love, success, and light as you go through this month. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. Bye-bye.